Okay, so the error of mankind, which we've not realized, we keep on repeating it, and there's a repetition of error become a disaster. Becomes what? A disaster. So oftentimes when a disaster occurs, we point fingers at others, at demons, at people. But we don't realize that it is some of the errors that we repeat over and over again that cause the disaster. We can look at it from the life of Genesis. That's Genesis 25. Let's use Jacob and Esau as our study case. Genesis 25, verse 23. Pastor Daniel, can you read that place for me? Genesis 25, 23. 23.
And this is NLT. The sons in your womb will become two nations. From the very beginning, the two nations will be rivals. One nation will be stronger than the other, and the older son will serve your younger son.
Yes, so let's relate these two nations or to two continents, like the West and the Africa. Africa is the elder continent, because when we want to talk about, creation, Africa is the older continent. You understand? But the Bible says that the elder will serve the younger. The reason is that what makes the elder son to serve the younger son is the foolishness of the elder son that makes him a slave. Because let's go to the book of Proverbs 11, verse 29. It says what? The B says what? Proverbs 11.
Proverbs
11, verse 29.
Verse 29. And here we are. Inherit the wind. The fool will be a servant to the wise.
Correct. So you see that when you become foolish, you become a slave, because foolishness will enslave you. I used to tell people that stone is heavy, iron is heavier, but foolishness outweighs them all. Anyone who tries to bear it destroy himself and destroy others. So when one becomes foolish, he enslaves himself and enslaves all his followers. So Esau became foolish and didn't only enslave himself, but all his descendants. You see, why was Esau foolish? God says, I hate Esau. God didn't hate his image. Esau is the image of God and the seed of Abraham. And God loved Abraham and his seed. So when God says, I hate Esau, I love Jacob, God, it doesn't mean that he hates his image. Esau is the image of God, and God cannot hate his own image. God hid the foolishness in Esau and loved the wisdom in Jacob, because Jacob knew that. You see, I always say that the fools will sacrifice their future for the present, but the wise will sacrifice their present for the future. In other words, the fool will sacrifice their future for their stomach, but the wise will sacrifice their stomach for the future. So Esau sacrificed his stomach for the future, but Jacob sacrificed his stomach for the future, but Esau sacrificed the future for the stomach. So he refused to add value to the birthright God has given him. That make him a slave. And so if we trace Esau, we see Esau's attitude in Africa. You see, African leaders often sacrifice the future of their nation for their stomach. for a piece of bread. And they reigned the whole nation, generation after generation. But the West understood something. They sacrificed their stomach for their future, for their generations. So, whatever God has given to us, God wants us to add value. Esau had a birthright, and Jacob had a meal. The meal and the birthright has nothing in common, but things are valued by the value you place on it. Things are not valued by the size or by the oldness of thing or how long the thing has been in existence. Does not determine the value. The value comes by the value you place on it. So if you place the value on something, you gain the value. In other words, adding value to something, anything you add the value, you gain the value. But anything that you add no value, you don't get any value. So, Jacob, in his wisdom, realized that, okay, what I have is the meal. Then let me add value to my meal. But Esau had a birthright, which is more valuable, but he disvalued it and exchanged it for a meal. So he lost the value. Yeah. And we see the same trend in our continent. The black race have no value because the leaders have not added value to their people. They've not added value to their resources. They've not added value to their people. They don't add value. Anything God has given them, they give it raw out. Esau gave his birthright raw out without adding any value. So now Esau became slave and he blamed Jacob. See, the Africans are blaming the West, thinking that they are the cause of their problem. Believe me, the West is not the problem of Africans. The problem of Africans is Africans. That is why Africa thinks that he can sack Africans to fix Africa. Because they don't have solution to their problems. So they end up pointing fingers at the wrong person. How can Africans think that they want to fix Africa, so let's sack Africans to fix Africa? This is insane. This is total madness. Because Africa can never be fixed without Africans. The West will not fix Africa. Africa is for Africans. And it is only Africans that can fix Africa. That is why when there was a problem in one African country, like when the whole African continent was enjoying independence, and there's one country, South Africa, who was still in slavery, in apartheid. The whole Africa have to come together because they know that the freedom of Africa will come from Africans. Africa can never be free without Africans. So all Africans came together to free South Africa. And today, South Africa think they can sack Africans and fix Africa. This is the greatest error. Instead of adding value to their own Africans, that it is through you we gain independence. If you want to succeed anything, it's through you. Because, you see, the source of success can never be cut off and retain success. Because the source is the live stream of the success. So the moment you cut the source off, there's no success. Because there's no success without a source. And you don't cut the source off to still maintain success. So if South Africa succeeded through Africans, then you cannot cut off Africans and succeed. It's a disaster. It's the greatest error. It's the greatest atrocity that a nation can commit. Because they don't understand why God placed them in Africa God placed every country in Africa for a purpose. Nobody chose to be an African. It is a gift from God. And whatever God has given must be protected and add value. You see, when God gave the talent, the one who refused to add value, he took it from him. Because whatever God has given us, he wants us to add value. That is why we add value to our face. We trim our hair, we do, because God wants everything that is given to us. God wants us to add value. So God gave us the continent for we to add value to it. And we can only add value by adding value to the people, because the people is the continent and the continent is the people. So the moment you are driving the people, you are destroying the continent. You see, many people have repeated this error. Ghana thought they could succeed without Nigeria. So Nigeria, they sack all Nigerians. And yes, Ghana could not make it. Nigerians repeated the same mistake. They also sacked Ghanaians. Until now, they couldn't make it. So why then do Africans think that they can succeed without Africans? That is not how God made it. God put us together to live together and build together. Because together we stand, divided we fall. That is why Nkrumah had that vision that Africa should unite. Because Africa can be built by Africans. So Africans coming together to build Africa. So God says, I hate foolishness, because foolishness brings destruction. So Bible says, woe unto a nation whose leader is a child. So it says, woe unto nations whose leaders are babies. When the Bible talks about babies, he's talking about unwise, immature. You see, nations whose leaders are babies. They are ignorant. They are not wise. They don't know when to eat and when to eat. They don't have a sense of discernment. When to act, when not to act. What to do and what not to do. You see, read the verse 15. Ecclesiastes chapter 10 verse 15 for me. The 15 says what?
Ecclesiastes 10. Verse 15. Fools are so exhausted by a little work that they can't even find their home.
You see, so, when you are foolish, you don't even know how to manage your home. You don't know what is destroying you and what is happening to you. You don't know even your strength and your weakness. So Africans don't know their strength and their weakness. They don't know Africa. Africans are the strength of Africa. Africans are the strength of Africa. And Africa cannot succeed without Africans. That is why when Africans give their resources to the West, Africa still remain poor. Because they think that the West can help them to succeed. And little do they know that the West is there to fight for their own success, not the success of you. They add value to themselves. So when, and African countries employed their own, they disvalue them, they give them peanut. They give the same job to the person from the West. They give them huge salary because they think that they are more valuable because they've added value to their own, they've gained the value. And they still disvalue their own. And yet they want to be valued. And the next time when they had opportunity, they want the West to value them. Why? They've disvalued their own. When you disvalue your own, you lose the value. So nobody is destroying Africa. It is the foolishness and the ignorance of Africans is destroying Africa. When they have no sense of value, you see, it affects everything of them. They are even the way of doing things. So if you look at it, when you give the contract to the Africans, even they can't handle it well. because of sense of inferiority. They've lost the value. So they can't even add value to what they are doing. Because as a man thinketh, so is he. A man is valuable when he have a valuable mind. A man is worthy when he have a worthy mind. So since the people have disvalued their own, it has affected their way of thinking.
So, Evangelist, in fact, you've touched something that is making me think very, very deep. Will I say, is it lack of vision, or it is the enemy that intentionally is blindfolding our leaders when it comes to hiring? Like, for instance, you see in Africa, we want to do construction, big construction projects, and we have to bring foreigners. Meanwhile, we have also local contractors that could do some of those jobs. And payment-wise, we spend a lot on things like that. What's really the issue? And I think this adding value is what I want you to touch on that scenario.
Yeah, the issue is when people feel inferior, you see, so it has become a norm, something that they think is normal. You see, abnormal has become normal because they've dwelled in abnormal for some time. When you practice abnormal for some time, it becomes normal. You see, so even when you give it to them, because they have no sense of value, they can't even do it at a point because that inferiority complex. Do you understand? So the problem now is that when we start add value, believing, telling them you can do it, you are capable, because you see, the one thing that the Africans lack, which is knowledge and wisdom, understanding. The West has that understanding. The understanding is that, you see, no one become perfect in just at one's act. Nobody become perfect or perfect a thing by one act. You see, they believe in you master it by making mistakes and correcting yourself. So if we can look at China some time ago, all the product was inferior, but they accepted it, they keep correcting it, and now they produce the best. So the moment one Africa made a mistake, we said, oh, you can't do it. Because we discourage them. And when the West come and do it perfectly, say yes, they can do, but you don't know how many times he has made mistakes and has corrected himself. So we don't believe it in ourselves. So we don't add value. We don't give a chance for ourselves to make mistakes and correct ourselves. So that is affecting us seriously. Like what is happening in South Africa? You could see that how can an African think that I have to face Africa, so let me start Africans to face Africa, and believe that it is illegal immigrant who is committing crime. Crime in a country does not matter who is citizens or immigrant. A criminal is a criminal. You see, you don't sack illegal immigrant or immigrant and fix your country. US tried it and they saw the consequence. Donald Trump came to power and he wanted to do it because there are some works that the legal migrant will not do it, the citizens will not do it. It is the illegal immigrants, they will do that dirty job to keep the country moving. So there are people who are not documented, well documented. Based on that, they don't have access to good work. So they only have access to dirty work. Yes. And this is where you that is well documented will not succumb to that work. You will not do it. The citizens will not do it. It is these people, they are going to do this work. So the moment you start kicking them, there's going to be a great vacuum, which no one can fill it.
Of course.
And
Apostle, this one is like you are touching a point that even I want to draw our mind back to the Bible. Even in the Bible, slavery was in existence, and there were even laws how to manage your slaves.
that's it.
And touching on South Africa recently, I was listening to a report, and the report says even the first vacuum of Ghanaians, like 300 came, some are coming. They haven't even seen those jobs that South Africans are claiming that they are going to.
You see, that's what I'm talking about, the errors of Africans, which is ignorance. You see, all that they are doing, it is the cause of ignorance. When people are ignorant, it's a lack of knowledge, my people perish. What is destroying Africa is ignorance and repetition of errors. So, some people have done it and didn't go well with them. Ghana did it, it didn't go well with him. Nigeria did it, it didn't go well with him. Why then South Africa think he will do it and it will go well with him? You see, there's no way you will do it and succeed. Because there are some works and there are some skill that the people possess that none of you possess that skill. And you see, when we talk about country, we are talking about diversity. That's why God attributes a person as a country, because the person has many members and different functions. You have different systems, different organs. So God attributes a person as a nation. So you don't cut off your fingers to fix your body.
No.
And you don't cut off your nose to fix your face. That is greatest atrocity. You understand? The greatest mistakes one can commit.
Ladies who do makeup.
That is it. They only add value to what God has given you. So the illegal immigrant, you manage them and add value. You find a way to manage them. You find a way to deal with them. And you don't get that. You see, this has been the problem of Africa. So God said, I hate foolishness. And the fools will be slaves. So no wonder Africans remain slaves to the West. It's not the West that is too powerful. It is the Africans that are too foolish. You see, the reason why they are too foolish is that, you see, they sacrifice their future for the stomach, for the present. And the West also sacrifice their present for the future. Do you understand? So, you see, so it is not that the West are too powerful. It's because the Africans are too foolish. Jacob was not powerful than Esau. Esau was so powerful. But what makes Esau weak is his foolishness. So the foolishness of Esau made him a slave. So the foolishness of Africans is enslaving them. You see, they don't give their own the best. They don't give the best to their own. They don't add value to their own. They don't add value to everything. God give them gold. They don't add value. God give them diamond. They don't add value. Oil. They don't add value. They make sure nothing is being added. They want to give it raw as God gave it to them. So the master say, this is what you give to me. He said, take it. The master said, you are a lazy and foolish servant. So you're going to lose even the raw one that I've given it to you. So Africans started losing their resources because they refused to add value. Do you understand? So the problem is not just the West or the Africans, it is the foolishness of Africans. How can one think that I want to fix Africa, so let me sack Africans to fix Africa? How can Africa succeed without Africans? So last time I was saying that, you see, a lot of people don't see the problem in Africa, especially those black race, those with dark skin. They think they can gain value without adding value to their roots. You see, you become vulnerable when there's your root is vulnerable. You see, the reason why you in Ghana, we respect somebody from the royal home is that we hold them high esteem. We think that they come from a variable home, like Otunfo's son. But when you are coming from a poor home, no matter how handsome, no matter how intelligent, people still look down upon you. The reason is that your roots determine your value. You can only gain value when you add value to yourself. So, when we add value to our roots, automatically we gain value. You see, when Americans come to Africa, go to any country, he may be poor, he may have nothing, but you still respect him. Do you know why you respect him? Because they've added value to themselves. The country has added value to it. So his citizens are automatically valid. The West, the white, has added value to themselves. So when a white man goes somewhere, he's automatically valid. He's not valid because he's intelligent than you. He's not valid because he's richer than you. He's valid because they've added value to themselves. So we can gain the value by adding value to our own. I gave you an example of Black Star coaching. You see, when you go and do the statistic, that you look at the number of white coaches that they've employed and the black coaches, the African Ghanaian, the white coaches, and amount spent on the African Ghanaian coaches, you will see it nowhere near. But if you look at the results, the Ghanaian coaches have achieved better results. All their 4 caps that they won in Africa were won by Ghanaian coaches. But when they give the same job, the same office to a Ghanaian, they will give you a peanut, they will not add value, but yet they want to get the value. And when they give it to the West, they give him much because they think they are valuable. So they disvalue their own, yet they want to be valuable. They want the West to value them while they disvalue their own. This is the foolishness of man. And that is what is enslaving Africa. So you will see that a so-called big man from Africa will go to the West and nobody value him. Nobody respect him. They don't care how rich you are. They don't value you because you have not added value to yourself. The people refuse to add value to their own. And things are valued by the value you add to it. They are not valued by the size or by how old or how beautiful. No, it is the value you add to it that gives you the value. So what you add no value, it gives you no value. So the problem is not the West, it is the foolishness of Africans. I think Africans have to wise up. Africa can only be fixed by Africans. Africa can be built by Africans. So let Africans have it at the back of their mind that they are the solution to their problems. Thank you very much.